Hello, folks. Good evening if you're with us live. Now, if you're in another part of the world, maybe it's not evening for you. I don't know. Maybe we have some fans there in Australia and New Zealand. But for those of you from the UK on over to the left, good evening. We are here in Earworms to talk about the ARP 2500 and 2600, two vintage legendary synthesizers. And in so doing, we will be talking a little about the history of them, the company and the founder, at least focusing on these synthesizers, because we will be coming back to ARP instruments and some of their other models later, hopefully. And we'll be hearing a little bit from the synthesizer. Not mine, because I don't have one of either of these models, but we'll be hearing some examples of them and talking about it and basically having a good old time as we do here on Earworms. So, without further ado, I am going to introduce my partner in crime here, my co host especial. Hello, lady. How are you?
Hello.
You're sounding good tonight.
Yes, and that is because I finally unboxed your Christmas present and am using it. Scott, tell us how I sound like. I'm my mic is going through a DBX 286 mic preamp slash compressor slash gate
Oh, yeah, it's
thing.
a channel strip,
Yes.
basically, is what they call it. So now we don't hear the breathing of her computer when she's not speaking.
Well, I don't know about that. We gotta ask Scott whether he hears the breathing of my computer, and we gotta ask Robot.
Well,
Robot, how is my audio? Ah,
I,
Scott says sounds good.
From what I
Okay.
hear here, a little bit is maybe back off on the gain, like one click on the DBX.
Okay, back off on the gain. How about now?
But there, that's better, at least on the DBX. And you could probably turn it up a little bit on your interface then, which is after the DBX.
Okay, so let me see which. How about now?
Sound tweaking on earworms. It sounds pretty good.
Well,
But I guess you'll listen to the recording of this afterwards and be able to make your own determinations little by little. But in any case, we have Robot and Scott here, so that means we better get started. I guess I could join you in, well, now I'll inflict my face on people for a little bit longer. Because tonight we do not have Mike with us. He's been working every night of this week, long hours, and he's just shot today. So
yeah.
he's not going to be able to join us tonight. Incidentally, last week we were going to do Kevin Hart this week, um, player of the cigar box guitar, instrument builder, as well as author. And he will be joining us next week. He checked after last Sunday night when he agreed to come on, and he needed to reschedule for 1 week later. He's excited to join us, and we're excited to have him. But this week I needed to come up with something instead, and I decided on the ARP 2500 at first. But then last night I decided let's do the 2500 and 2600. And you'll see why as we go. But basically, the idea is I came up with it because earlier this week I was invited by Trev at Trev Retro to come on his channel to do Logan's Run,
Yay,
uh, a
Trev.
great a great movie. And I found out in researching it a little bit that Jerry Goldsmith, who composed the score, used an ARP 2500 for that score. Now, if you haven't seen that movie, it's worth watching. It's free on Tubi right now, so you can see Logan's Run for free. And Tubi is, of course, something that you may get on your TV, but if not, you can go watch it online. I think it's Tubi.TV, something like that. Um, a Google search will find it, and you can watch that film. Jerry Goldsmith did the score, as I said, with an ARP 2500 as well as orchestra. And it's basically a dystopian sort of film where people live in a dome, and for those parts in the dome, it's the electronic score. And then for outside the dome, when spoilers, they do get out, for a bit at least, the outdoor scenes are with full orchestra. There's some orchestral instruments in the dome too, integrated with the ARP 2500 very well. It's actually a very good score. So I was like, let's do this instrument, because they are legendary synths. The 2500 and the 2600 are both kind of related, and we'll see in a bit. I have our thumbnail up there where we have Mike on the left, Lies in the middle, and me on the right, or our AI interpretations of the week. But anyway, let us move forward here and talk about this instrument. We will play a little bit of it in just a little bit. Just wanted to put up a picture here. Here you would see three ARP 2500s, the one in the center, front and center, as you can see. Quite impressive. It has a large rectangular box housing the synthesizer components. It is modular, where people can take out some of these modules and put in others. And the top and bottom row are matrices. They're basically slider switches that allow you to do routing. Uh,
Huh.
and we will talk about that further on. I might even be able to show you a little example because I have an emulator that I can use to
Mm.
show you how that routing is done. But basically, no patch cables on the 2500.
You
And,
know, for something that complicated, wouldn't you prefer patch cables so that you could physically follow things?
well, there is a 2600
No.
that, well, this does use patch cables in some spots, but the thing is, it also has a lot of settings where basically it's one of those where you don't have to do all the patching in order to get a sound. So it had some default, what we would call normalized settings. And so it was a bit easier to use, and it came out about a year later. And this one actually took off even more as more of a commercial success. It was also less expensive and smaller. And so, it was kind of designed. Well, they originally designed this to be for like, you know, uh, people with high school bands, actually, is what they said on the video I watched. And it's like,
Uh, no.
well, it was still too expensive for that. But it was picked up by a lot of artists, gigging musicians, and so forth, as like, I guess, a competitor to the Mini Moog. But its larger cousin here, the 2500, was something that was largely used in universities where they had electronic music studios as they're studying this new art as well as medium of electronic music. And, that those were the places that could afford them, although we will talk about some big name artists that had 2500s. But anyway, those are the two models we're talking about. And going back to the 2500 here, the big difference is the sliders. You can kind of see the top row there. I think from here we can see a little well enough. They're vertical sliders. And basically on the top of each module, as well as on the bottom, you had labels that said um, inputs and outputs to and from the module, like what was an output from it, like its pulse width out from an oscillator, and maybe an input, because it could also take audio in to use the whole synthesizer as a processing for that audio. So you could bring audio in. And so there's labels at the tops and the bottom of each module that allowed you to see where you would be sending or receiving signal from. And then you would need to match it further down by moving a slider to the same horizontal setting as the one that you just adjusted. That means they would match up, and then you would also need to do that for the slider that's above the label for the output. Like if you're going out from the oscillator, you need to go into the envelope, for example, and then have those two sliders on the same. Yeah, it is complicated.
I think I prefer the patch cables, 'cause even if it's a mess, you can physically follow, okay, input,
Yeah, here
output,
you have
or
to read
output,
labels,
input.
but after a while, I'm pretty sure, just like with a lot of complex instruments, like maybe organs and so forth, you do get some sort of like a kind of a memory as to where things are at, and you can look at them and all that. But yeah, it's true, especially for gigging musicians in clubs at night. Um, the patch cable thing allows you to trace your finger along and see where it's going. You still might need to read a
Ah,
label or two.
robot knows her history. These guys are responsible for the sound of R2-D2.
She ruined it. I was gonna surprise people with that later.
Whoop, whoop. What? She gave it away there.
All right. Well, here is the founder of ARP Instruments, which was originally named Tonus. So at the time in like I think it was 1970 that the company was founded, or at least that's when the ARP 2500, their first instrument, came out. They started with the big boy. But Alan R. Pearlman was the founder. And later on, when they changed their name to ARP Instruments, that's the source of the name, ARP. And basically, when he founded the company, he had been coming in from work he had done for NASA and other big players like that. The research he was doing at the time when he founded the company was radiation detection, which was something during the Cold War a lot of companies were interested in. And basically, he had some background in music. He did play piano, but it was kind of like a sideline hobby in addition to being an engineer. His father was an electromechanical engineer who worked for a company that made film projectors for movie theaters. And so the arts weren't too far away. And he had grown up where, he took apart radios and things like that. So he was interested in sound and also integrating that with electronics. Studied acoustics a bit, won a certificate in some acoustics thing he did. He was looking at what was called envelope following, where basically you take a sound derived from its envelope, like its attack, sustain, release, and then you could use that envelope to control other things, almost like an advanced science fair project. And but eventually that interest won out. He sold a company he had made to Teledyne, and then started a new one. Tonus would be ARP Instruments, and basically decided to go into the music thing because he saw a need for it. These new synthesizer things fascinated him. And Don Buchla and Robert Moog had synthesizers at the time that were, pretty much the new but interesting synthesizers that people were starting to develop an interest in. And they had problems. They had a problem in that they would lose their tuning because after a while of running, the synthesizer does produce heat, being analog and electronic. And they would start losing their tuning because the oscillators under temperature changes would lose their tuning. And he basically thought that he could fix that with some of the work he'd been doing. So he founded the company in Newton, Massachusetts, in case anyone's interested. And in a humble facility at first, and basically went ahead to do it. But he enlisted some help from David Friend, who was from Yale University. He's the one that built a lot of electronic musical instruments in the Yale University. electronic music studio, at least in the late 60s. And so this guy was an engineer, but interested in music and had some musical background. And Dennis Colin also joined up in the creation of these two synthesizers. And the thing is, after a bit, David Friend became more of the marketing guy for the company. Dennis Collin was an engineer working with Arthur. And so they came out with what was at first called the ARP 220. No, it was 2002. And then eventually the numbers changed and got to 2500 before its release in 1970. And at that time, when it was released, of course, they were kind of looking towards like universities and so forth, because that was something universities were doing, getting electronic musical instruments and synthesizers, and their students would be able to use them. A lot of students would in, enroll in certain colleges and universities based on what they had in their studios, because it's something they didn't have access to on their own, and they, wanted to be able to access some of these great instruments. And as they're learning about how to use them and so forth, and there was a need for training on these things because they weren't exactly easy. But recently, before that, Wendy Carlos released "Switched on Bach," and basically using a Moog synthesizer to play all these beautiful Bach pieces. And that really opened up more of a mainstream audience to electronic music. But in the universities, they were doing mostly experimental stuff, and the ARP 2500 was great for that. They got to figure out those sliders. But in any case, as he started the company and they started the release of the ARP 2500, pretty soon after they thought, well, we need to release something that's um, a little more user friendly, a little more portable. And so you would sacrifice maybe some of the features, some of the abilities in order to make things smaller, more accessible. But the ARP 2600 was a great sounding instrument. And I mean, we're going to see a list of people that had some in just a little bit here. And, but I think I should play first a video so we could hear these instruments. So let me call this up here.
Alright.
Okay, now let me see here. Am I on the right folder? No, I need to go into the right folder here. So anyway, Liza.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. Don't want any dead air. They might take us off the air if we have any dead air.
Oh, no.
Let's see here. I found the ARP. Okay, 2500, I believe, is what we're doing first. But as it truncates the file names when I'm in that mode, can't exactly see what I've loaded up. So here we go. Come on. There you go. Video. And the first frame is blank.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. I think I know what this is. This is a demo. I will pause in a moment because it does show credits here.
Ah,
There we go.
there we go.
I do have a link to this video in the description. It'd be great if people listening to us on the rewind or whatever do check out the video from its original source there. But this is sequence number one, David Mitchell, and the ARP 2500, a real one. There have been since then, of course, some virtual instruments, and there are some other companies that made versions of their ARP instruments, especially the 2600. Korg made one that is actually still quite popular. We'll have to see after the fact if this is copyrighted. I don't think so.
One never knows these days.
You see him there. He's happy to be working with a slider. Actually, probably twiddling a knob for this at this moment. Wow, man, that sounds
It does. Yeah. Scott says, "I'd be getting lost in the creativity with this."
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
I think I'm gonna pause just a second. Oh, wait a minute.
Who are we watching, Lawrence?
Who?
Yeah, who are we watching?
I think at the beginning it said Don Mitchell.
Okay.
I did read it off. So there's folks shouting it out back at you right now. But yeah, called sequence number one. Hopefully not copyrighted, but we'll see. But
Is it an improvisation?
I would think so. Yeah,
Mm.
I would think it's largely improvised. He probably has an idea of what he wants to do over the course of this, but most of it's improvised.
Well,
Now,
on YouTube, a creator can strike you even if what they're doing is an improvisation. It's just the content belongs to them, and they can strike you if they want to.
okay, well,
So,
strike you.
yeah, some
I've had
creators the creators that are, monetized can do that.
Well, I don't know. I think we're probably gonna be okay here. I'm giving due credit as long as
Yeah,
I got his name right
uh,
there. But I'm
right.
giving him due credit and link in the description. And this is the type of field where there's usually no big animosity between creators, unlike the drama channels.
Yeah,
But, in any case, if you look at the sliders, the matrices at the top, they're like vertical sliders, and, at the bottom, you can't see it, but there's like little labels, words or abbreviations that say what you're going into or out of. And so that slider would be for like a certain component, like, maybe it's the input to the envelope, and then you can, basically slide it to any number of, I think it's 10 different positions along its length. And when you're at another position, whatever sliders are on that position basically would receive from that slider, and then it would go to whatever thing they're above. And so each slider was unique to a different component. And so you could basically set them on different levels on the top or on the bottom. And since it looks like there's more positions on the bottom sliders, and so basically, when you set those, you could just follow it across and that's what you're plugged into. I think it's kind of cool. I mean, if I had money, I'd try it out, but
what do they cost nowadays?
um I can look that up real quick here.
Eh,
The
okay.
what we'll be getting is probably the cost of a Korg version of the 2600, because I think those are still being released. There was a 50th anniversary release. I'm not sure what company was actually behind it, because ARP Instruments went out of business in like '82, I think it was.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, I'm gonna
Oh.
still look. Let's see here. ARP 2500. Now I'm looking Amazon. These would be new items. I could go to eBay, see if someone has one that there weren't a lot of the ARP 2500s sold. And now here I'm just seeing some different things that could be used for parts, maybe. ARP. Uh, I might as well see if I can see the ARP 2600. Um,
You're right about that, Scott. Yeah, we s were watching a documentary about it yesterday, and yeah, all of these big ones, handmade, custom order, each one.
you can get a Behringer version of the ARP 2600 for $469
What? Wow, Behringer's
with
killing it, man.
without keyboard.
Still, Behringer's killing it. Behringer is doing
And
wow.
I'm looking at it and it looks quite different. Doesn't look quite like it.
Oh,
Well, no, it kind of in a way. And not as much like it as the Korg version. Let me do the Korg ARP 2600. I have a video of the Korg coming up, so we'll be able to hear it and talk about how it sounds. Um,
I
no,
mean,
no, I'm not getting results there. It must not be one that is still in production. Oh, wait a minute. No, I do see one here. Oh, now this one is 4,000. No, no, this is 449.
oh,
Used 1,000 there.
m maybe they're doing, what Behringer's doing. I heard that Behringer was able to, um, what do you call it? When you make a copycat synth in uh, for example,
Knockoff.
a knockoff for cheaper than the original because they're using solid state electronics.
Well, hold on. I'm going to switch to this view so I could share this with our audience. Not that it's of critical importance, but as it looks like there may be some options here for people. I'm going to share my screen, and if we look at it, you're seeing this, right, Liza? You're seeing my browser
A I am seeing your browser,
and
yep.
and Amazon. Amazon. All right.
Amazon,
Well, the
okay.
Korg actually on the left is the one that looks a little less like the original 2600. The Behringer is looking more, the second one in from the left is more like it. And it is $40 more, but I like the layout of the Behringer a little bit better. I have to watch some videos on it. I mean, that is approachable, especially
It
if you
is?
start selling some
Oh, yeah.
Starbucks guitars. Righty. But yeah, now let me just see here. I'm going to go to eBay real quick and just see, or reverb.com, and see if there are some vintage ones out there. Reverb.com. There we go. And let's see here. ARP 2500. It's possible, but there weren't a lot of those sold. Like I said, they mostly went to
Oh, do they have
universities
a
and stuff.
real one there?
There in the left, looks
Yeah.
like it. ARP 2500, early 1970s. And 279.
$279,999.
Ah,
Uh, that's a real one.
those were sold for about 25,000 to 30,000 when they were released in the
Yeah,
early
so
70s.
now they'll cost now they're I mean, you'll need to sell your house to buy one.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a house. Also, it might have been owned by a famous person.
Uh,
Although they would probably put that in the listing at the top
yeah.
if it were. And the
That one will probably end up in a university somewhere or
oh, I don't know. I mean, because this was hot in universities in the late 60s and early 70s, but
it would still be
nowadays,
hot now. People are getting back into analog
well,
stuff.
and you saw how some of their budgets went, where it's like, oh, we got to buy something that's about $20,000 now.
Yeah. Well, that's why they would be able to buy it.
Yeah.
It's like, "Got
Oh my goodness, it was
we should have
ridiculous.
spent
It's
this
like,
yesterday,
how does this work?
or else
It's
we'll
like,
lose the, you know, we won't get the same amount of funding next year
Wasn't
kinda
that
thing.
like a 60 or $70,000 mixer that they bought and it sat in the box there for a couple years?
Oh, mister, I'm not gonna get into that.
Oh my
Let's not
goodness.
talk about that.
Let's look at
But,
the
yeah,
ARP
that
2600.
universities, it the way things work in as far as funding projects is strange and counterintuitive.
Okay, there's multiple tiers of the Korg because here's one. Yeah, and I remember seeing them before. Some of the Korgs were like almost like the originals, and so here's a Korg version of the upper tier, I guess, not the kind you can get on
Mm.
Amazon for about $1,000 used, and here's one
Yes,
for yeah,
y
they're about 1,000.
you're right, Scott. The original, yeah, that's a house in the corner of your house, yeah. You better get that thing insured.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
oh yeah, and insurance companies really know about synthesizers. Is
oh,
this one
yeah.
saying 11,000? Here,
Where?
third one.
No, what? Yes.
Yeah, it says
Why why is that 11,000? Which one's
old
that one?
professional home. Well, it says vintage, so this must have been a real ARP 2600 from when they were released,
Huh.
not like the Korg versions.
All of these are expensive. There's one that's almost $14,000. Um,
Well, the two in the upper left are the Korg versions.
oh, Mr. Brown,
Oh,
and
well,
their
Mr. Brown.
viewers just joined in.
Well,
Welcome,
thank you
Mr.
for joining
Brown.
us, folks.
Yes.
Yes, we're looking at all the things we can't afford. Uh, a real vintage ARP 2600 will set you back. Um,
Yeah,
what is that?
almost
$11,000.
$300,000.
Oh no, that's the ARP 2500. Here we go, folks. One of these days,
Mm,
there we go in the upper left. If that person's still selling it, I mean, and for something that is being sold for $280,000, you think they'd come up with a better picture than that. It's sitting like at the side of a room or something, or side of a storage area.
oh,
Wow,
I've been burgled. Says, "Alliance raid." We have been raided, mister.
we
We have been
have been.
raided.
So let us get back to our slides here and let's see what we're doing. All right, so we got past all our information. The Mr. Brown Alliance gets to come for the fun bits. All right, so after the lecture, we are talking about the ARP 2500 and 2600 synthesizers, vintage synthesizers from the early 70s. The 2500 was released in the 19 in 1970, and in 1971 the 2600 was released. Just for some pictures for background, there's a 2500, a big baby, mostly sold to universities and maybe studios, although we will talk about some people that had one coming up. And then there's the ARP 2600. It's smaller, more like a mini Moog, and it has it had broad appeal with pop artists, and there's a number of well-known musicians that had those. So those are the two forms we're talking about. And one of the people that had one was Edgar R. Winter from Frankenstein fame. He had an ARP 2600, as you see right there, and much of the synthesizer work done in that song involved the ARP 2600. Now, Liza, you're probably not too familiar with the song, but I think your father, yeah, your father recommended it, so I checked it out for the first time a few years ago. Interesting song.
What's the
Mike Gorley, if
song?
he was here. It's
What's the
called
s
Frankenstein by Edgar R. Winter. Yeah,
Huh?
it's no, it is cool. It sounds like early '70s synth rock,
Alright. You got a
but
sample?
oh man, do I want to have it to cut out stuff?
Okay. Alright.
Yeah, I mean,
We
I
don't
have
have to
some
do
other
that.
clips that we're gonna hear. We have clips to hear some synth, but, yeah, if I play that, that's definitely gonna be something that I'll have to tell YouTube to cut out, and then that disrupts the whole algorithm. Mr. Brown
Yeah.
knows what I'm talking about.
Yes, he does, yeah.
So any of our Brown Alliance there, know about these synthesizers? Any synth heads there? I know Mr. Brown himself was a DJ. But Pete Townsend from across the pond in the UK, from Who fame, he actually had a full 2500. You see, he's got the vertical sliders there. So you had to be in like the Who to be able to afford one. But
Goodness.
you remember at the time, this was close to when the Fairlight came out, and Peter Gabriel was one of the first owners of a Fairlight. So, um, the wealthy British pop musicians could afford them.
Uh,
And let's see, what do we have here? Vangelis. It was an ARP 2500. I was trying to get a picture with him and the instrument in it, and the closest thing that had both of them in it was not a great picture, but he had an ARP 2500, the big boy, and he used it in his studio, and it was used in Chariots of Fire.
hmm, yeah.
Ba-da-da-da-da-da.
Nice.
Ba-da-da-da-da.
Can we look at the Behringer knockoff for a second?
Okay, I still have that window open.
Mm.
Let's go over
How much
here.
was the Behringer knockoff?
The
B
Behringer knockoff.
Behringer's killing it with these knockoffs, by the way.
Yeah, I
Yeah. We have the Model D, Behringer Model D,
yeah, I have
the
a Behringer
Neutron.
Model D and a Neutron. Yeah, I remember. I think it was like 449.
Mm.
Behringer ARP 2600, and they sound pretty good. Of course, they're. I think they're on the upper left. That's the one that looks real. It's rack mount, no keyboard, MIDI input. For 489.
Mm. I wonder what it sounds like
I'm
if it
pretty sure it's
yeah.
got MIDI input, and you don't just use CV, gate, and pitch. Let's
No.
see here. I'm gonna look at this view. Does that show the inputs? It's got mic inputs. Oh, but it's got a few of them. Yeah, both of these synthesizers allowed you to take audio in from a
So you
mic.
can process things as well. Oh.
It looks like mic and quarter
Oh.
inch. Oh, yeah, you could process things. In
Wow.
fact, we have an
Okay.
artist coming up that was well known for that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, 2 of them are probably outputs, 2 are probably inputs.
Right.
I didn't see the MIDI there. Let's see. Uh, I'm looking at the front panel because some of my Behringers actually had the MIDI jack on the front panel. I don't see it there. So this may be CV pitch
Hmm.
and CBK. And let me just do a quick search here. Oh, we could ask Gemini.
Ask Gemini.
Yeah, let's see. Gemini. Uh it's like it's saying, look
I
at the
mean, if
manual.
if I
Does
can't zoom in onto your, window, but it's probably in the Amazon description.
yeah, like I want to read for that. I could just ask Gemini.
Gosh.
Does the
Like,
ARP 2600 from Behringer have a MIDI input? And let's see.
does
Says,
Gemini
yes, it
say
does. Yes, the
oh,
Behringer ARP 2600 has MIDI input.
can you ask it where it is? And is it one
Where
of
is
those
it?
small it could be one of those small MIDI inputs like what the Moog sub harmonicon has. It looks like a 1/8 inch audio jack, but it's
It also
MIDI.
has a USB MIDI port,
Oh, no.
but Gemini says allowing for modern connectivity with computers and other MIDI devices. It also has MIDI through port for
Oh,
daisy chaining.
good.
Well, yeah, a lot of these that are like monophonic synthesizers, the analog monophonics, it is best to daisy chain them because they're only going to be on one MIDI channel anyway. So you could have 16 of them in a row daisy chained with MIDI throughs where, you go into one that receives basically all the stuff, but it listens to one channel that you select on it, and then it goes out the through into the next one in the row, and that one you could have set to listen to channel
But
2.
this is unusual these days because even the for example, the subharmonicon doesn't have a through port.
Subharmonica, well, that's a Moog.
I know, but what I'm
The Moog
saying is
USA stuff that's more modern,
that's what I'm
yeah,
saying.
yeah.
The modern stuff doesn't have through
Yeah,
ports.
my Moogs, the, drummer from Another Mother, Subharmonicon, and Mother 32, they only have MIDI inputs. They don't have outputs either, and so, yeah, none of them do, but, both of the, Behringers, I believe, do have through ports like Model D and Neutron, I think. I haven't,
I don't
uh
think they do, no.
oh, no, no, that's right.
That's why I was thinking of getting what they call a MIDI interface.
What they call a MIDI interface. Oh my god. No, back in the '90s. Well, that's when I started with this. It's like, yeah, that was pretty much standard because everything was external keyboards and sound
Yeah,
modules and
yeah,
stuff. And so I had an 8 in, 8 out. I still have an 8 in, 8 out MIDI interface.
right.
But the thing about those, it's kind of funky, is
Or a MIDI router, I guess that's the term for it, a MIDI router, because nothing nowadays has through ports.
well, you could do the MIDI interface. The MIDI interface, you could have one signal go to many and stuff like that. A lot of times the routers would be a little limited, like you can select either or. You can't have it going to two places or two destinations at once.
Mhm.
Well, I guess depends on what one you get, but an interface or a router, but the interfaces with a computer or router doesn't have to. Um, and so you just kind of do almost like patching on it.
Yep, yep.
So,
Scott had a question,
oh
I
yeah.
have it up on the thing. He says, um, "Does it limit what certain types of mics get" let me see. "Does it limit what you to certain types of mics and whatnot?" Question mark.
Well, that would be a good question as far as, does it have phantom power on it? Like, do you have to use dynamics? Let me see here. Now, I guess, does do the mic inputs have phantom power? We're asking Gemini. Ask AI on earworms. Ask earworms and we'll ask AI. No.
Yeah.
Okay, so you would have to use dynamic microphones with them. So they can't power a condenser, in other words, unless that
Mm.
condenser has its own battery pack, like
Unless you
some
have a
shotgun mics
preamp,
do.
an external preamp with a phantom power on it.
Well, some of the shotgun mics, since they're used in film, the ones that have battery on them,
Yep, I got
you
one.
you could you
Nice
might be
little
able to use
battery.
with it. Alrighty, so yeah, because it would have gain control. I've seen the knob on it for that, the input level.
A robot has a question. Did
Yeah.
they have mixers and graphic equalizers in the 60s and 70s?
Oh, I'm going to be throwing Gemini off topic. Graphic equalizers. Now, when you're saying graphic equalizer, you mean the ones with like all these rows of vertical sliders? Because that's technically what was called a graphic equalizer at first. It didn't mean it had a graphic display. It meant it had like a slider for all these frequencies, like from maybe 10K up to 20,000K or something, like not 10K. What am I talking about? Like 60 hertz up to 20,000 hertz, and you had a slider for all these different intervals. Those they had. But if you're talking about graphic display equalizers, no, I don't believe so. They had oscilloscopes, obviously. And actually, something close, though. In the '70s, remember the Fairlight did show us a display of the spectrum of a waveform, a little different than an EQ readout, but it had like the landscape three-dimensional spectrum so that you could see I mean, you could basically see the same information there, even better because it showed it over time for the sample, since the Fairlight was a sampling synth. So in the 70s, they did have technology to display the frequencies of the spectrum, just a little different than an EQ display. But you can read the same thing because you're seeing the frequencies across the spectrum over time. So yeah, they had that ability then. And she said mixers.
I think mixers by I f I'm looking up impedance bridging because that's what made mixers possible, so I'm looking that up. Let me
Well,
see.
they had mixers in the 60s and 70s.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm when was uh, yeah. Uh,
We could probably even look up one right here. I'm going to just say, because I don't know off the top of my head, uh, what was a popular studio mixing console in the 1960s, we'll say. Now, this is 70s, what we're talking about here, like early 70s, but you wouldn't have had the 70s without the 60s. There's an EMI Red, REDD is one.
yeah, 1930.
Holy crap, yep.
But I don't th but that's a good question. When did okay, multi-track recorder, 1937.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
But when was it widely adopted in studios? That is the question.
well, probably in the 50s and
Abbey Road,
60s.
1950. Okay.
Yeah, 50s, because, I know a lot of the early jazz recordings were recorded with just a horn, where they were playing in front of like a Victrola sort of thing and all that, and, there was no mixing. That's why they sound like shit.
Uh, well, but for sure, in 1960s, when we know because of the Beatles,
Well,
um,
that's when they started doing stereo too,
yeah, so for sure,
but early stereo, they're hard to listen to on headphones. They would actually have something on one side and something on the other, and it was like either all left or right, not much in between until later on, where they
they
started panning things partially here and there, and
they were experimenting.
yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I know, like, Procol Harum, like, some of their early songs that you have the drums on the left side, so you're hearing drums on the left, bass on the right, and it's like, "Mm, I need a little more balance, man." But they were playing for people to hear in speaker systems, so
Haha, okay, yeah.
yes, what's her name? Robot already kinda ruined this, but the ARP 2600 was utilized for at least the original sounds of R2-D2. I don't know if it's for the whole original trilogy or not, but, I'm sure today they're no longer using an ARP 2600, but yeah, that was R2-D2 sound, ARP 2600, and we'll ask you this since you didn't ruin this yet.
Mm,
What is this from? Now, this is not an image from a specific film, but there is a filmmaker in the middle there playing with an ARP 2500. We'll give our chat a chance. We're getting interactive here on Earworms. What what film is this referencing? I'll say. There we go. And we'll see if we have any takers here.
you should put up a multiple choice thing. Roz says, "Close Encounters of the Third Kind."
Yes, indeed. Let me look this up. Uh, who said that? Roz?
Yes.
Well, welcome, Roz. Yes, this is Steven Spielberg. Um,
Oh, I didn't recognize him.
yeah. Well,
Okay.
he's younger there.
Mm,
1977, I think, was Close Encounters, and they used an ARP 2500 in the film. And we saw in the story, it didn't go great. David Friend from ARP Instruments, who was their marketing guy and also was a liaison with the customers. Brought like an ARP 2500 over to use in the film, and they were basically just gonna, I guess they were renting it for a bit was the idea. And it ended up that the deal didn't go well because I don't think they got paid, and or at least they didn't get paid what they were agreed to be paid. And the ARP was somewhat damaged because it had all these oils all over it. They were using oil based uh, things for like effects and lighting, and basically it formed a residue on a lot of stuff, and including the ARP 2500. And the thing is that afterwards, when they were looking for some restitution, they weren't able to get it because the way these films do their shoots, they kind of like have different shell companies that they set up just for that film, just for that thing at that time, and then they close it down.
Yeah,
So
sounds like,
basically,
similar to musical productions. They
yeah,
kinda function that way too.
and so basically, afterwards they couldn't even sue anybody because the company was no longer in existence. Of course, it was created by another company, and so yeah, wow, I didn't know stuff like that happened, but I don't think it was just to swindle synthesizer companies, but no, there may be some other things, like basically some things happened during a shoot. It's like, well, that shoot's over. It didn't happen. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, that sort of thing. And so anyway, there we have Logan's Run. Interesting story. Yes. I think it was Monday night of this week. I just wanted to double check when I was going on Trev's uh, broadcast next, and he said, "Oh, you should come for Logan's Run tomorrow." It was the night before, especially with the. He said that it was a Moog, but I had to correct him. But anyway, the synthesizers in it, because this score by Jerry Goldsmith had great synthesizer work in it, and it was using the 2500, the big boy synthesizer, and especially for the moments in the dome when they're living inside the domed society, and then it became you know pure orchestra when they were in the outdoor scenes. But in the
Mm.
indoor scenes, he mixed orchestra and what do you call it? Orchestra and the electronics of the ARP very well. Is really nice. And you know what? Maybe I can do what do you call that afterwards? I'm going to go to music.youtube.com. We're going to hear a little music. No, hold on. No, never mind. We're going to be hearing music in a moment coming up here, but it's not going to be from the Logan's Run score. But no, but it's a beautiful score. So anyway, finishing my story, I was going to. He invited me to appear on, and remember Tuesday we had a power storm, a thunderstorm, and the power went out for a few hours. When it came back, I didn't think to check it out, but when 15 minutes before the stream, I power up my computer, and the displays aren't working. And oh man,
Yeah.
that was
Ugh.
crazy. And eventually, at the end of the day, we found out that on Linux systems, sometimes when the power goes out suddenly, it could actually revert your drivers back to basic default drivers. Because when I did get the display to work, it was 640 by 480, which means, in modern operating systems, you can't see what the hell's going on because the resolution's too low. And so, I had to cancel, and finally I got it working, and I joined them. Well, I didn't get to join them on the stream because they were already going, but I go in the chat, and not after 5 minutes is when they got frozen. Basically, the stream got stopped. Still a mystery as to why, I think. But
Mm.
anyway, but what a story. And I rewatched the film this week just for that. But folks, definitely check it out. It's free on Tubi. So yeah, Jerry Goldsmith used it in Logan's Run. And let us. Oh, that's the end of my slides here. Didn't I have Peter Frampton? Did I skip Peter Frampton?
I don't know.
We had Pete Townsend, but that's another Pete. Peter Frampton also used, yeah, I guess I left it out. Peter Frampton also used an ARP 2500 or it might have been the 2600 in Dreamweaver. He was basically processing the guitar through that. And so another interesting tidbit. Let's hear some videos. Here's some sounds of the synthesizer if we can. I'm going to load up the next clip here and then we'll switch on over to it.
Yeah, let's
For
do it.
those of you just joining us or wondering where Mike is unable to join us today. He overworked himself this week.
Yeah, and he's gonna continue to overwork himself next week too.
Mm,
Yeah, so Mike needs a break, but
yeah,
when he
well,
comes back, he shall be unveiling his cigar box sitar. But on my show first. Hey.
well, I don't know that if he's being overworked, I don't know that completion of that sitar eh, is going to be happening as quickly as you might suspect. Now let me see
Well,
here. Oh, there we go.
when you have the impulse to get something done, you
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's got to sound pretty cool.
it's
I would love
yeah.
to have a sitar.
Yeah, well, you can order one from Mike. If he gets this
Yeah,
prototype up and running, you can buy one.
yeah. Well, oh man, we can't even get a good Indian restaurant in our area.
Oh, man, I
We can't
miss
get a Indian restaurant in our area.
yeah,
We live out in the boonies, kind of.
miss Indian food. That's one
But
thing I miss about the city
but we
is
have Indian people here that I mean, Jay Veer. Well, I don't. His name's Raj, but he owns that. Like two locations of that restaurant and stuff like that, and it's like, dude, Indian food. But it's great. You hear me. It's this combination between an Indian accent and a Southern accent. It's
it's
real,
amazing. I've never heard that accent before, and it's very interesting.
yeah. But we got to get him to do at least like a food truck with Indian food.
Oh, man, if only somebody would do that. I love, love, love and it doesn't matter from which region, I love Indian food. Oh, love it.
All right, so let us hear this
Don't make me
here.
hungry, robot. Come on. Robot, how dare you?
Here we have more 2500. All these links are in the
Uh,
description, folks, so you can check this one out as well. All right. All right. So yes, if you want to hear that, let me give credit for these what do you call these these clips I've been playing because I do want to give the credit and I mean I have the links in the description, but you need to know which one to follow them. But the first one we heard was called Sequence Number One by David Mitchell, not Don Mitchell. I'm sorry about that, David. And then here, this clip is ARP 2500 final testing. Basically, yes, if you look that up in the description, there's a link straight to it so you can watch it, and you could watch it full length and everything. But yeah, final testing, it seems like some footage that was recorded back in the day when they were kind of like just checking these out before release.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, it's final testing. And I guess I'll play a little bit more.
Ah, we're gonna end up with the Behringer, aren't we?
Um, no, I would have to check between that and the Korg and also earn some money before I get them. But the Behringer looks like it takes up a good number of rack spaces. It may have to go in the garage, and I hate housing synthesizers in that garage.
Well, I mean, we gotta get our setup up and running in there, and then you might feel differently later. I work in there with my swamp cooler, and it's all good. Mm.
Now I'm looking this up because I was curious because I yes, the original ARP 2500 was primarily monophonic modular synthesizer, but it did have a significant capability for duophony. Oh, duophony. Ah, yes, and that's one thing they did in I think the 2600 as well. Duophony is where basically you could play two notes at a time, but one of them is kind of maybe more limited, and you could freely move the one pitch. But the other one would be more like a drone, or it could follow the other pitch at an interval distance that stayed the same until you switched it, of course. So yeah, so sometimes when you hear some polyphony in these, it's that duophony actually.
Hmm.
But of course, if you record, you can record multiple tracks,
Yeah.
and that's what you had to do in some circumstances. Now, let me bring up our next video clip here. As you see, I'm not playing any of the ones that definitely would get me in trouble.
Yeah. Well,
Now
understandable.
we have an ARP 2600M. I believe this is a Korg, if I'm correct. Yeah, I think it's the Korgs. They had a model called the 2600M. And so let's give this one a shot.
This is the ARP 2600M from Korg. Now, to back up a bit first, in 2015, Korg announced that they had consulted with original ARP co-founder David Friend to bring back into production the Odyssey for the first time since 1981. There were subsequently 3 formats. In 2020, Korg announced they were producing a limited edition run of the legendary ARP 2600.
The Odyssey is one that we'll be covering on another episode sometime in the future. That was a great synthesizer. We're basically talking about the two first synthesizers from ARP Instruments.
Oh,
And
I thought we
so
would get into the Odyssey in this episode, but
I want to save things for the later. I
alright,
can't do all
yeah,
ARP Instruments in one
yeah,
episode, especially not going to do them justice,
okay.
But no, this is the Korg M2600, so this is relevant to the 2600. But this is not the smaller like $400 thing. I think they probably released that $400 one that's smaller for to compete with the Behringer. And but these I've seen these for a while from Korg, and yeah, they're they're in the thousands.
Oh.
So I think let me double check the price on this. Korg 2600M. I think, but yeah, I've heard a number of videos with these, and they do sound good. No, it's just showing the Behringer. I guess the M is, well, at least not on Amazon. Let's see. But I know they do exist. You may have to get it from reverb.com. They may not be still in production, or they may not be making batches anymore. Let's see. Korg 2600M. Yeah, it looks like, yeah, it's about 1,000 even,
Mm.
1,050.
Hmm.
Here we go.
In full scale, and it won Best in Show at NAMM and sold out immediately. There then persisted a rumour that a smaller version was also coming, and sure enough, in January 2021, Korg announced the 2600M, and now it's here.
Robot's probably proud. Kraftwerk had an original ARP 2600.
Yes. Yeah.
So the 2600M is fully analog and uses the same circuitry as the 2600 full size, the only differences being that, for obvious reasons, it has a smaller spring reverb, it doesn't have the 3620 keyboard, and due to this has a mod CV out on the front panel and then a 3-way multiple instead of a 4-way. It just has MIDI in and not out or through, and has 1/4-inch jack outputs instead of XLR. Other than that, it's exactly the same synth, just smaller. The package includes a Korg Micro Key37, a software bundle, some ARP stickers, and a very swanky ARP branded suitcase that I think is a fantastic touch.
Watch, we're going to get nailed for the elevator music. Oh, yeah. Spring reverb. So we'll pause it there. That one is the ARP 2600M. I do have a link to the video in the description. I don't think that one's a problem because that's a promo video. And so the more promo, the better, right? At least that should be the school of thought. And then what do we have here? We have the ARP 2600 sound demo. So I have another video to show here. There's a sound demo video. I remember I had to boost the sound on it because it was kind of quiet. There we go. Sound demo. Give this one a shot. Yeah. Random note generator. Now, in these things, they would come with manuals, obviously, but also a patch book where you could look up some patches that some of their sound designers would come up with, so you could see what to patch your cables into, or in the 2500, what to set your sliders to, and knobs to, and so forth, so that you could call up different sounds. Because there was people interested in doing some of those things that were quasi orchestral sounds, and it- so that's what it came. It came with patch books, as opposed to like all these presets that you could just call up as easily as we do today.
Yeah.
So
How do you do random number generation the analog way?
I don't know. Obviously, well, uh, in order to, no, I don't want to speak out of turn, but I know, like in the digital world, noise a lot of times is basically like your random number generators, but sped up. And it's one way of making noise in the digital world, but in analog, I'm out of my depth because, yeah, it's not my area. So I don't know how they do it. It'd basically be random voltages, but I'm not sure
Yeah.
what kind of device does that. Gives you just random
Yeah.
voltages.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how
Well,
that
we could
works.
ask Gemini.
I don't yeah, you can't.
We
We'll
should make
research that.
Gemini a co-host. Um,
With the way that you use AI, maybe.
how do
One day it will be a
you,
co-host.
um,
Let's not make Gemini a
how
co-host.
did they make random note generators in the days of analog synthesis? You got to ask the question
This would be a
right.
good question for Jay Goodwin if he was here.
Well,
I trust his answer more than
we could,
Gemini's.
yeah, well, we could, I could DM him, and then maybe next week we'll have an answer.
Ah,
Here's the
there we
breakdown.
go.
Oh, great. No, it's getting involved here. Uh, is noise. Oh, it looks like it's similar to the digital world in that they're related. I think what happens here is it takes noise, and then and the noise would be like would carry you to the pitch.
Hmm.
It's almost like taking the noise and putting it into a what do you call it? An oscillator's VC input or CV input. And basically what happens is, the
You
noise
get
kind of drives,
random stuff.
yeah, it becomes
Okay.
randomized.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
interesting stuff there.
It is interesting stuff. Yeah.
Exactly how, I don't know, but, I guess we
Again,
don't need to.
we you need to ask. We need to bring Jay Goodwin on and he can explain it to us.
Yeah. Alrighty. Yeah, well,
uh
yeah, he used to join us. He was, instrumental in for, like, the first 6 months of this stream in helping us get going.
yeah, yep, yep. Him and Adam Gray
Yeah,
and let's not forget gosh, Ocean Man
the very
himself.
first
The
episode, yes,
very first
problem being,
episode, problem being
I'm looking for the next video. I have, one
but
here that's kind of funny.
we are missing Mike Corley though.
Yes, he's still a regular, but could not do it tonight.
Mike, if you're just listening, um, hey, how are you? Join us in the chat, Mike. I know you're tempted.
Yeah, looking for one of the videos I had, And okay, that's the sound demo. Let's try the next one then. Oh man, that's the thing. I'm seeing these file lists here. Hold on, let me have it display differently. Maybe then I can see the full file names. It's kind of hard to read file names when they're truncated like this. Um, Let me go into detail view. All right, and so I want to open up M demo. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Here's an artist that had a Korg 26, not Korg, but the original ARP 2600. Somebody who's also known as Steve played Close Encounters there.
Wow, he
He,
owned one. Wow. Okay.
well, this is 2600. Remember, these were less. Back in that time, I think they were about 2,500 or something like that. So they were less than the $25,000 things. Or no, these might have been like 10,000 or something. I don't know, but still it was.
I see, and that's called Brailleing.
Oh,
See, here's what I want to do. Indian lore. It's about High Watts, this little Indian kid, lived with his mother. You kind of fill in the effects, okay?
Okay. I don't know if it's my glasses or what, but I may be wrong. Are you Indian?
What do you mean, Steve?
I mean, as I look at you, you don't seem like you're an Indian to me.
See, you're looking up here, Stevie, and I'm Blackfoot. Yes, all of my family have black feet, Stevie. See, here's what I want to do. Indian lore. It's about High Watts, this little Indian kid, lived with his mother. You kind of fill in the effects, okay?
Okay.
By the shores of Gitche Gumee, by the shining big sea waters, stood the wigwam of Nokomis. Come on, Stevie, don't start pressing it. Slow down.
It's magic.
Daughter of the moon. Many times Nokomis said to him, "Come in this house, Hiawatha." And he'd come in the house because he's a good little kid and he always did what his mother told him.
do you remember that Star Trek episode? I think it's the first one of season 2, the original series where Kirk had a Native American wife on some planet.
I don't remember the
Yeah.
episode. Man, I
Yes,
don't remember.
Robot certainly remembers. Yes, I think the first episode of season 2, the film looked a little different, especially I guess because they were doing outdoor shots and everything. And yes, it was a planet where there was
I'm just
they
amazed.
had
I
some
didn't
sort of
I
ancient alien defense mechanism, and they had Native American tribes. I don't know how they got there, but maybe aliens, and
Hmm.
had Native American tribes, and they were kind of like living out there. And Kirk actually got married, had a wife and stuff until his memory had to come back so that they could save the planet at
Oh,
the end of the
yes.
day.
Okay, I remember that
Yeah,
episode. Yeah.
unfortunately, she died though.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I didn't know that Stevie Wonder was a synthesist.
Oh yeah. Well, he actually, I think on the song "Superstition," he recorded all of the instruments. So he played the clavichord, bass, and drums. I mean, he played all the instruments on it, at least on the recording. To do it live, of course, he had a band, but no, he could play a lot of different instruments.
Right.
Many things Nokomis taught him of the stars that shined in heaven. She showed him Escuda. Escuda the comet with its fiery tresses. She said to him, "Did you see that?" And he said, "I didn't see it, Mama." She said, "You must have seen it. It was a comet with its fiery tresses. Don't tell me you didn't see it."
I saw it.
Then she told him, if Stevie saw it, you saw it.
All right. I thought that was a good one. But anyway, yeah. Yeah, Stevie Wonder had one. I mean, yeah, the 2600 was more prolific. Let's see. I think we got one more video. It's probably going to be a short episode this week.
No, we're
Uh,
down one man. We're down one man. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
It's hard to do a show without Mike.
Yeah. I mean, he's
Yeah.
always there with some fun facts and everything.
I
He'd
know.
be
And
looking up everything on Gemini. Of course, he wouldn't say it was Gemini, but
no, Mike does Google searches.
this is Michael Jorgensen. Once again, the link's in the description, so you can find the original video. But yeah, this is the Korg $1,000 version.
Yeah, it looks like $1,000 version.
Triangle wave. I'm looking at Sweetwater right now. I don't see any of the Korg 2600Ms there. Looks like you got to get them used.
Hey, he's
Oh,
running it through a module you have. That's a sequencer, right? That little thing.
he has. Well, isn't that built in? Or did I miss it? I was looking at
Go
Sweetwater.
back. There's he's running stuff through a little module. That.
Oh, yeah, the Electroharmonic Memory Boy.
Oh,
This is
that's for delay, or is it a sequencer?
yeah, it's a delay. Hold
Oh,
on here. If I want to see it here, yeah, that's a delay. I think it has a sequencer on it.
yeah.
The synthesizer itself has a step sequencer on it. The Electroharmonic Memory Boys are great buckets for great delays. Mostly designed as guitar pedals, but I use them in my setup. Oh yeah.
Nice.
I think before bed tonight we gotta watch one of the Carl Sagan Cosmos episodes. Some Vangelis to get us back in the day and still in the future.
Inga. She jumped up on the bed. What are you doing?
Oh yeah.
you, Scott, for the
Well,
link. Appreciate that.
for the link.
He is sharing links in the
Oh,
chat, making sure people subscribe.
oh, thank you, Scott. You're the rock as always.
Yes, yes.
Oh man, but this is beautiful sounding, man. Yeah,
It
but
makes you wanna bring back Sunday night synthesis,
there might
doesn't
be
it?
yeah, I don't have room for that though.
But you will once you're all set up in your live area in the garage or our
Uh,
new music setup.
and keeping it in the garage, so, yeah, we definitely have to do a dehumidifier out there and,
Well, the winter is approaching, so we will be able to
yeah,
do
the
more
crypto
live.
miners will keep it nice and
Yeah.
dry out there.
Yeah. And also, doing some streams from there would be
Yes, it would. Yeah, we gotta do some more playing and stuff on
For those
so
of you who don't know, Lawrence used to do a live stream on
no, it wasn't a live
Sunday.
stream, I
Oh, it
just
wasn't
uploaded on
live?
Sundays.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. He would post a video on Sunday of him working all of his synth setup, and it was
Well, this time
some
we'll
cool
just do
stuff like this
earworms
came out of that.
now and then. Maybe next week we have Kevin Hart. Maybe the week after that, I can do,
You mean
one of
Kevin M.
the
Craft? We have Kevin M.
Kevin
Craft
yeah,
next
why
week.
did I say Kevin Hart?
I don't know.
I don't know. But anyway, Kevin Kraft, and, after that, we could probably do one of my Moog synthesizers that I have in this room. I could put it here, and I have a camera
Yeah.
position for it,
Do you
you
have
know?
the Model D set up though, the Behringer?
Yeah, I would just move it over to this desk, and but it's easy enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could do a Model D demo. Play
Yeah.
some music. It's monophonic, it'll be one note at a time. Now, a lot of these sounds, I think a lot of the people were going for similar sounds because this sounds like sounds from, Tomita, you know,
It does,
and
pero,
that were used in,
Tomita
Jack Markheimer's
yeah,
Guitar Hustler.
yeah, Tomita had a Moog setup. We have to go through his setup for Snowflakes Are Dancing.
Yeah, if I can find the info and everything.
I have the info.
Oh,
Big fan here.
well, we can't play too much of this, I guess. Whoa, excuse me there. Knees dude. Alright, yeah, we can't play too much of this because, yeah, then they'll say, "Well, you're just using my video as background music for yours." But anyway, I think it's Mikhail Jorgensen. Link in the description, folks. Well, Liza, I think, that's about it for this week. It went a little fast,
Can you
but
remind me what the Mellotron is for a second?
oh, that's the one with the tape, length
Well,
that
something I didn't know, I'm looking at Tomita's setup here, and one of his accessories was a Mellotron. I didn't know that.
accessory.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember, that's what inspired us to do Yellow Submarine because they used that to trigger the samples in that film.
Oh, okay. Alright.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
So,
yeah.
its main competitor, might have been the digital Fairlight, yeah, because the Fairlight was a digital sampler,
Mm.
and, you didn't have to worry about the mechanical operations of the tape playback.
Yeah. Yeah. At some point, we do have I mean, we can't have an earworms without talking about the album Snowflakes Are Dancing and how it was produced by
Okay.
Isao Tomita. I mean, can't.
Yeah, and for those of you who haven't heard of it,
It's on
the
YouTube.
music
Yeah.
was also the theme for Jack Harkheimer's Star Hustler that you used to see on PBS on, like,
Yeah.
Saturday nights at, like, midnight. I remember, watching things like Red Dwarf and the Saturday night British comedies on, public television, and then afterwards, the Star Hustler would come on. Jack Harkheimer from the Miami Transit Planetarium.
Yep.
Of course, when I moved to Miami, I think he was probably no longer there,
No.
yeah, and they didn't have much. I don't know. I didn't really care for the presentations they seemed to be offering, so we never went.
I when well, I grew up in Miami. I've only been to the planetarium, I think, 3 times in my entire life, and it was always on field trips, elementary school field trips. Uh, don't really remember it. Um,
And what would they show?
ah, I the only thing that left an impact, meaning that I remember it, it was the Star Dome, um,
Mhm. Oh,
from the
yeah,
planetarium, and that was impressive, but, yeah.
yeah. Well, I fortunately, from Reading, Pennsylvania, had was in a small city, but, we did have a planetarium, so growing up, I was able to go there a few times, either on school trips or just going over on the weekend, and,
The show was cool, though, the little shorties that were put together,
yeah. Yes.
and he always told us to keep looking up.
Keep looking up. Yeah. Well, I'm kinda gonna try to do that. Well, folks, we wanna thank Scott for being with us, Rock, as usual, providing
Yes.
very useful links, and the Robot, thanks for joining us as always, and, yeah, we need to, let's see, yeah, next week, Kevin M. Hart, you guys will love this gentleman. He was on Liza's show a few weeks ago, and,
Kevin M. Kraft.
who's Kevin Hart?
I don't know.
There's gotta be a Kevin Hart that I keep wanting to say that.
I
Let me
don't
let
know.
me look up here. Kevin Hart. Uh, Kevin Hart. Um, and, Kevin Hart was an American comedian and actor.
Okay, but it's not our Kevin M.
Nope,
Kraft.
nope, and, to be honest with you, now that I see his face, I'm not sure I recognize him. Maybe I've seen some films he was in, but I don't know. It's just
Mm,
for some reason I
int
wanted to say that. But anyway, Kevin M. Kraft plays cigar box guitar, builds them, and also writes books. He is a novelist and has a series called about a character known as Dobro the Bottlenecker. Bottlenecker meaning playing cigar box guitar with a bottleneck for a slide. And
Yep,
so
with a slide. Yes.
he's got a great personality, and
Awesome.
basically he'll be a pleasure to listen to, unlike me. And and he showed us also some of his homesteading when he's on your stream. So you might be able to see some canned preserves, other things they're doing. I think, yeah, I think we need that. It helps when we have somebody there that's just relaxed and is gonna take you through the place and show you some things and all that. It's
You're
great.
thinking about, you're thinking about Jeff Elliott, not Kevin M. Kraft.
Well, Kevin might be able to do that too.
I don't know that Kevin is a homesteader. I think he's in Kansas City.
Well,
Yeah. We can have Jeff Elliott on here too. He's a cool dude.
hey Kevin, can we have a tour of your house?
He'd be scratching his head. It's like, "What?"
I've been calling him Kevin Hart the whole time. He'll be like, "What
Ay,
the?"
ay, sacrilege. How dare you? I see what happens when Mike isn't here to keep you in check?
No, it's still
Mike
the same. He'd just be yelling at me alongside you.
yes. Yeah, I always need help to yell at you. So, yeah.
All right, folks. Well, thank you for joining us. That's our next week plan, and then after that, I might do a synth module. But folks are always welcome to leave comments and maybe request some things. It's got to be synthesizers, sci-fi, or we do some films now and then, bands, albums. I don't know.
Hey, Webb is here.
Who?
Webb in his alter persona.
Another CBG.
Yes, another CBG builder. He's gonna be on my show soon too. Stay
Okay,
tuned,
sounds
folks.
great.
Yes.
Sounds great. So anyway, we'll be signing off now with a little bit from Olivier Douchet, the great musical saw performer, or
Yes.
sawyer as they call them.
Oh, really? Okay.